All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be going over the construction tracking feature. If you happen to have any questions at all during the webinar, please use the questions feature from the control panel, and either myself or somebody else who's assisting me with this call will be able to respond to you. If you do not get an immediate response, we will answer towards the end of the webinar. Now, before we get started, one thing to note is that this training session is going to be covering that project tracking and construction tracking feature. This is a feature that is available to all clients upon request. You can do so by submitting a support ticket titled Construction Tracking, and we can turn this feature on for you at no additional cost. Now, the new construction tracking feature can be used for new construction or PIP items that are done roughly every 7 years. This feature can be used to manage a renovation, oversee new construction, or any other sort of a project that you may have going on at the hotel. Now, by managing this function, the activity will show both on your accounting financials and your project reports. This feature utilizes and works with your existing workflows. Now, our call today is going to be broken up into four different parts: creating the budgets, creating contracts for each vendor, linking transactions to projects, and then the different reporting. Now, the first step in the process is to create a project under the Project Budgets tab. Now, in Inflow, when the project feature has been activated for you, under the Administration dropdown from Accounting, there's going to be a new tab opened up called Project Budgets. To create a project budget, you'll select the property that this is involved with, and from the project dropdown, you'll choose New. This will give you the chance to name a new project. Once you save that project, you'll be able to open that project up and set budgets to each of the involved chart of accounts. Now, the chart of account budgeting is not required to use the feature, but it is there and recommended to be used in case you do want to put together a detailed budget for any of your expenses that you have. Now, our example today is going to be with a bathroom renovation project that's going on at the hotel we have selected. As I scroll down in here, you'll notice that there are a few chart of accounts that have some budgets set up. You'll see how these play into the actual project feature in just a few minutes. Now, once you've created the project budget itself, we need to apply vendor contracts. And you can do so by going to the Accounts Payable, Vendors tab, and type in the name of the vendor that you'll be using. When this vendor detail comes up, under your Contracts tab, you'll have any existing contracts with that vendor or the ability to add a new one. If you select to add a new contract, you'll want to fill out all of the standard information for contracts, the enterprise that's involved with, the contract number or customer number, the address, and then you'll also be entering in the original contract amounts and any change order amounts that you may have as well. If you have a contract that's currently existing and you want to make adjustments to it, simply select that contract. You'll see any of your original contract amounts that have been entered in and any change order amounts that you may have as well. From here, you can either add to the original contract or to the change order amounts, and you can also upload any documents that may be needed to support. Now, once this has been finished, you have a contract in place and the budget is in place. You now need to assign these to the invoices that come through. Now, for the invoice approval process, you can assign the projects to existing invoices that have even already been processed and paid, or during the invoice coding process. Now, this will work from the plus chart of account split screen. So if I select one of my existing invoices, under the split COA option here, when the project feature has been activated, there will be a new line item that pops up for project. You'll be able to apply any of the existing projects for that property directly to that chart of account split itself. Once you've applied it to the correct chart of accounts, you'll be able to save and close and follow the same processes that you would to process that check. Now, one important thing to note about the project feature is you do not actually want to approve any of the contract invoices until the process has been agreed upon by both the vendor and by your establishment. This will be able to allow you to properly track which transactions have been approved and agreed upon by the vendors through the reporting feature. And that brings us into our next section here. We've reviewed the create contracts by vendors, how you can make your original contract and change orders. We've looked about how you can link your transactions to the invoice entry or update existing invoices. And now we get into the different reports for the feature. This covers the project expenses by chart of account and by vendor, and also your vendor payment history report. The project expenses report by vendor is going to list for you all vendors involved in the project construction, and it's going to show you the contract amount for each chart of account involved and any payments associated with this. You could also view this report by chart of account to see where you are from your budget to what remains left to be paid. In this case, you'd be able to see any items which may not have actually been budgeted but used towards this project. The last report that we have is going to be the project expenses vendor payment history report. Now, this report is going to be your bread and butter for the module itself. This allows you to print out a detailed overview of this project. From the top, you'll be able to see the name and information involved. You'll be able to see the original amount that was set up, any change orders that have been applied. And as I mentioned, if you have not approved invoices that have not been agreed upon, they're going to show up in two different sections, your approved payments and unapproved payments. Now you can provide this directly to the vendor themselves, and they can use this, or you can use this as a way to have them acknowledge where the project stands right now and what invoices you have yet to approve. Once they've signed off and an understanding has been made, you can approve those invoices and submit payment to them. The second 2 pages of this report are going to list 2 different sets of information for you. The second page is going to show you chart of accounts which do not have a contract. So any chart of accounts assigned to this project that may not actually have a contract to them. In this case here for our bathroom renovation, you'll notice that we have a new paint that's been applied, but no budget was created for this chart of account. It's going to show us exactly how much is going towards this, and this is actually in that project. So at this point, we can either renegotiate the contract to include the paint that's in there or review our contract and make sure that everything was set up correctly. The third page is going to show you any transactions from the vendor selected that are associated with a different project. So if you're using the same vendor for multiple projects, in this case, we're using ABC Construction for both a bathroom renovation and a pool renovation. We see that there's a transaction that's already been assigned and approved for that pool renovation. And if for some reason this was actually meant for the bathroom, you'd be able to see the information here, go back in and make the proper adjustments. Now at this point, I'd like to go ahead and open up for any questions. Do we happen to have any from anybody so far? I do have a question that just came through to me. Can this feature be used with a non-hotel account? And if so, does the data get turned over to a hotel account when the non-hotel account is ready to be converted? And the answer is yes. Anything and everything that is done with the project feature will carry over to the hotel account, as well as any other information associated with that accounting for that non-hotel account. Another question that I have, if you don't have a renovation at the moment, but you do have a roof leak repair or some other kind of insurance company claim, can you use this tool as well? And the answer is absolutely yes. You'd follow the exact same process, but for the project budget, you would want to name it whatever the repair is, insurance claim, or something similar. And you could also upload any of those insurance claim documents directly back into that vendor contract page where you can upload documents to store. Now, are there any other questions? Okay, so at this point, again, I want to mention that this feature is completely complimentary, but it is upon request. So if you're interested in using the project feature, please make sure to submit a support ticket from the bottom right corner of Inflow to customer support and title this as construction tracking. Once that ticket has been submitted, we will be able to go ahead and activate that feature for your hotels. Now, since there are no other questions, this will conclude our webinar for the construction tracking. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.